right there in the middle at the damaged area. It isn't all sucked up to the patch. I don't care. I don't dope right down on top of the damaged area. It'll suck itself up over time. Once that dries up, I'll go back over it. Of course, obviously I haven't done my first coat on this whole wing yet, so I've still got plenty of time to get that done. Okay, here we have both sides covered, and there's my two patches that we made earlier. And I've got all my ribs and stringers. I went over all of them once. Now what I want to do is I want to go over the leading edge and the trailing edge and the ends one more time before I start any real doping. And this just helps everything to stay put, stay where I want it to. You'll notice I put me a T-pin in the end of it here. I've got over there's another fluorescent light with a big long rim on it, and I hang them there to dry. Okay, here we go. And you'll notice I'm still putting a little bit of pressure on everything as I'm running my brush across it. Okay, now there's the overlap. This is, I believe I'm going to use this for the bottom side. This is the overlap I'm going to put in on the bottom to hide it basically, and that's the side I screwed up, but you can barely make out right here. I want to be real careful when I dope this down that I don't push down on that tissue enough to stick it to my trailing edge. And I'll probably do that anyway. Now I'm going to let this dry for just a minute, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this last bay first, and then I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll go back and do all the bays in between. Okay, so we've dried for a minute or two, a few minutes, and now I'm going to do my trailing edge bay. Okay, you can see kind of the viscosity of my dope. Maybe. Pretty thin still. It has gotten thicker since I've started because some of the acetone's evaporated out. But you want your first coats of dope to be a little bit thinner than half and half. And I like to get my brush nice and pliable and worked out because sometimes you get boogers down in the tail of your brush. And you want a fairly wet brush when you do this. Okay, now notice how I'm going to hold my brush. I'm just going to let it rest on my hand. I'm not going to put any down pressure other than the pressure of the brush. That's pretty critical when you do the trailing edge to get this good and wet, but not stick it down to the trailing edge except on about the last quarter or eighth of an inch. Otherwise it looks like crap. There we go. Okay, now you can see that the trailing edge is dried back out, and I'm ready to start doping the rest of the bays. First I'm going to bend my T-pin a little bit because I keep trying to fall off of my hanger. Again, I'm just barely going to let the brush glide. Do one bay at a time. At this point I'm not really worried about any kind of little runs. Pretty wet brush.